Good morning and welcome to our series for Manufacturing Month. My name is Beth Gallick and I'm the Executive Director for the Bay Area Manufacturers Association. Before we begin today, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items with you. If you have any technical difficulties during the presentation today, please click on the square with a question mark found at the bottom of your screen. You can also email admin@bama-fl.org if you have any difficulty or questions. My team and I will be interacting with you today through the chat feature. So if you have any questions at all, please ask those questions through the chat feature and we'll get those answered for you. And again, BAMA is an industry-focused membership organization, and we serve manufacturers here in the Tampa Bay region. Our mission is to support manufacturers and promote economic development in the Tampa Bay area. We are the official representation of Florida Makes in our area. And within this affiliation, we help companies in a few different ways. We expand market opportunities. We develop customized initiatives. We adopt best practices, and we address opportunities for state-of-the-art technologies and training. Our solutions are designed to help companies address current challenges, create new opportunities for growth, and achieve measurable results. Additionally, we serve as advocates for the industry in promoting and advancing manufacturing careers, and that's part of why we're here today. We're here to help you change your perception of what it means to work in manufacturing. And with that purpose, and in celebration of Manufacturing Month, we are hosting free virtual events and activities for you to engage in throughout the month of October. Today, I'm here with Matt Leitner. He is the recruiter at Mettler, Toledo. Welcome, Matt. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'd like you to introduce yourself, if you wouldn't mind, and maybe talk about why manufacturing is important to you.
Sure thing, Beth, and I appreciate you for having me on this event. So again, my name is Matt Leitner, and I'm with Mettler Toledo here in the Tampa market. And we are a manufacturer of precise measurement instrumentation, primarily found in food manufacturers and pharmaceutical manufacturing that provides product safety before products hit the market. And manufacturing is important to me and important to us as it is the lifeblood of actually, kind of the United States. Everything has to be made somewhere by somebody, and that's all manufacturing. So I look forward to being able to show you a little bit about what we do and take any questions you may have. Thank you very much, and I guess we're ready for the next steps.
Thank you, Matt. And before we begin, I'd like to find out who we have with us today. So please tell us about yourself in the question and answer box. Are you a teacher with a full class of students, or a representative from a company who's interested in learning more about Mettler Toledo? Please tell us about yourself in the chat box. So you'll find that right on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of your screen. Just who you are, maybe where you're joining us from. Are you coming from the state of Florida, or are you from a company or a school outside of the state of Florida? And maybe there's someone here that you might want to connect with. So I'll give you a minute or two to go ahead and do that. And anytime throughout the presentation, you can also let us know. So it's so great that we have all the interest in manufacturing from the local schools and universities. So we're so happy to have you joining us this morning. Matt has put together a PowerPoint presentation that talks a little bit about what they do at Mettler Toledo here in Tampa Bay. So let's go ahead and watch that video while our responses are coming in through the chat feature. Okay, I think we're ready for the chat and the Q&A section. So Matt, can you tell us a little bit about maybe your background and your education and why you got into the field that you did?
Yes, thank you very much. Well, as Beth had mentioned, I'm in the recruiting business. No one ever goes to school to be a recruiter. We'll just say that. That's something you end up falling into. It's part of the HR organization. But I started my career as a Navy officer on a guided missile frigate in Mayport, Florida, or Jacksonville, Florida area. I'm a Naval Academy graduate. I studied chemistry, and I had a career in management and leadership before I actually got into recruiting. And after I fell into recruiting, it's something I've been doing for now 20-some years. And you could call it a calling. And sometimes it takes time to find out what you like to do and what you want to do. And so that's a little bit about myself. You know, I have expertise in career tracking, recruiting, compensation, education, anything along those lines. So feel free to ask questions related to, you know, this presentation or in general careers.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt. And can you tell us, you know, what you would be looking for maybe in a potential recruiter, you know, in a potential employee? What are those skills or maybe even soft skills that you would search for?
Certainly, in today's, I mean, a lot of it depends on, you know, certainly where the field and what you're looking to do. So there's certainly some requirements, maybe educationally or technically or training related. But by and large, the first thing is we're just, you know, we and most employers are looking for individuals who have some passion, some motivation, are willing to learn, you know, and willing and able to communicate effectively, both written and orally. And I think those are some of the just the key basic skill sets. And then others, you know, you're punctual, you show up on time, you do the job, and you're willing to learn. And that's how people grow in organizations and they promote and ultimately make more money. It's they come in, learn the job that they're in, do well in that job, and then move up or into other opportunities as their experience or training or education lead them to.
Okay, that's good to know. How big is your company? How many employees do you have? And I know that you have multiple locations, so maybe how many do you have here in Tampa Bay and how many, you know, worldwide?
So we're a global organization headquartered in, our international headquarters is in Switzerland. We're somewhere north of 5,000 or 6,000 employees globally. Our U.S. headquarters is in Columbus, Ohio, and the headquarters for product inspection, this division's here in Tampa, and we have between 600 and 700 employees in the Tampa market.
Okay. And for your employees, what company hours, you know, what hours would they keep if they became an employee, or does it depend on the role?
It will depend on the role. Primarily, we're Monday to Friday, first and maybe a second shift in the manufacturing side. There are a few roles that might, we do have some shifts on the weekends, primarily on the manufacturing side of the business. I would say in the manufacturing team is approximately 60% of the employees, and the other 40% are engineers, marketing, HR, sales, service as well.
Okay. And if, you know, someone came into the company, can you tell us, you know, maybe a career path, you know, a typical career path from entry level and where they could advance to? Is advancement opportunities available within your company?
Yes, they are. And one of the things that's a little bit interesting about this organization, once you start in a position, you're not bound by any time requirements on applying for new positions within the organization. Many companies, you go start somewhere, they want you to stay in the role for a year before you can actually look. We're not that way. Now, ideally, we'd like you to stay in a role for a little bit of time, but the opportunities to move up, again, depends on where you start, are really based upon your talents and your abilities and, you know, being able to deliver, as well as, you know, when the opportunities arise. For instance, even in this, you know, the last 9 months, in January, we had about 60 openings. We slowed down to about an average of 20 over the last 5 or 6 months, and we're back up to about 45 openings. So we will hover between 45 and 60 openings at any given time as we continue to grow. And we're in an industry that we are the industry leaders, and we experience small incremental growth year on year. So we're always adding new individuals to the team.
Well, that's good news. And, even with the current situation, the COVID situation, a lot of companies have been hiring or have been laying off, in different industries. But I've seen, with manufacturing, a lot of times manufacturers are still looking for employees. Can you talk a little bit about that? And also, what steps have been done recently with the COVID situation, how you've addressed that within your facilities or made changes to make the workplace safe for your employees?
We'll start with the first question. Many manufacturers are still producing. So it goes back to who our clients are. And I apologize that the video wasn't as exciting and speaking. We unfortunately don't allow video cameras into the plant, and it's a little bit more challenging. But our clients are food manufacturers and pharmaceutical manufacturers. And we have products that are geared towards product safety. And it's really allows those manufacturers to screen their goods before they come out the door so that you don't get contaminants in your food. Like if you had a box of cereal, there's not a piece of metal in it. That's what our equipment does, whether it's x-rays or metal detection or weighing systems, to make sure that those products get out safely. So we're about product safety. And it's a little bit different than some of the other areas of our organization. With the COVID piece, every organization had to come up with policies on the fly, quite frankly. And aside from probably clean room technologies and high tech who have certain protocols already in place, most of the organizations did not. So part of it was following certainly the state guidelines, CDC guidelines. But what we ended up doing is the majority of office staff were sent to work remote. I'm still working remote today, and most of us will still work remote throughout the end of the year, although certain key individuals do go in periodically. The manufacturing side, we certainly we didn't slow down. We had to realign some of the scheduling and the distancing pieces, because typically if you were able to see a video and you look at how our manufacturing process goes, it goes in stages, and those workstations are far enough apart from each other that you were already social distancing. But we put guidelines in place with masks, PPEs, taking temperatures every day as you come in, separation. We closed down our cafeteria, for instance. We closed down our gym, for instance. We put up some plexiglass shielding in certain locations where workers were close. We've done a number of things. For those that work at home, we take a daily survey that gets sent to us. We got to take our temperature. We ask a few questions, and they follow up on that. We've had a couple cases where people have, the temperature has been too high, they get sent home. We've had a couple cases where some people have tested positive. They were, sent home, quarantined, and if they're able to work remote, able to work remote.
Okay, wonderful. That's great that you've instilled all those safety practices to keep your employees safe. It sounds like you guys are doing a great job over there. And you talked about different business units that you have. And, can you tell us a little bit about other locations your company may be found in other than Tampa Bay, and, where your headquarters are, or what other business units are within your company? So if someone was interested in maybe working somewhere other than the Tampa Bay area, where they could find themselves.
Exactly. Well, one of the areas that we have that's actually throughout the U.S. are field service positions, technical field service positions, not just in my business, but in all of our businesses in the U.S. And those are based usually regionally or home based. So if you're, you want to fix things, go into companies and troubleshoot and upgrade equipment, those are roles that are there. The rest of our roles primarily are in the Columbus, Ohio market, which is where our headquarters and several other business units are located. We have laboratory groups. We have other technology groups that deal with pretty much, there isn't a major industry that is out there that doesn't use some form of our product. Again, we're primarily known for precision weighing instruments. In fact, that's what most people know Mettler Toledo for. So here locally, for instance, if you go into a Publix, there's a big scale usually in most of them as you walk in. That's our product. If you look behind the deli counter, many of those locations, what they're weighing your meat on is our product. You go to the post office, when they're weighing your postage, that's a Mettler Toledo scale. They find them in trucking industries, but trucks go across at checkpoints and they get weighed. That could be our product. So those are some of the areas, but those are different divisions of the organization. And again, you can look on our website and that will tell you some of the locations where the roles are.
Okay, very interesting. And I would like to welcome Armwood High School. Hey, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And so students, when you're out, and that could be a good assignment, see if you can locate some of Mettler Toledo's products and report it back to your school. So this is where you can really see what is manufactured here in the area, and you can see that product in person. So that's pretty cool. So thank you for sharing that, Matt. One of the questions students have, and I think you probably know this one's coming, within, when they start to work for your company, what would be an entry-level salary and what could they potentially earn working for your company?
Certainly. Well, again, since there's such a wide variety of career paths, it really depends on each individual student and when they're starting in their career with us, whether it's, maybe right out of high school with some technical training, or maybe it's right out of college. And so there's a wide variety, again, of compensation that it depends. So what we typically look at, and what I have two fairly recent college grads of my own, 25 and 23, and I've had these conversations with them for years. When in your first job, it's really more about really trying to find out what you like to do, what you're good at doing, and do you get paid a reasonable amount to do that? And the other things that you have to look at when it's not just how much is my pay, it's what is your total pay. And a lot of times there's not a lot of education that goes into what does my compensation look like. So in pretty much every single company, you have a base salary, whether it's an hourly rate, an annual rate, depending upon your job. For instance, with ours, many of the roles also have bonus potential. That's an annual bonus that pays a percentage of your salary based on how well you perform. Most organizations have some form of a 401k where you give money and your company matches you money free into your investment account, which is for your retirement, ideally. Medical, you have benefits. Biggest one is medical benefits. Most individuals don't understand that actually you contribute a small amount and your company contributes an even larger amount to cover your healthcare costs. Those are things you don't see in your salary or in your paycheck, but that's money that the company is paying on your behalf. So it's called non-cash compensation. So you have to look at all of those factors when you go into an organization. But I get it. Hey, if you're right out of high school, you're like, hey, what can I make? Our jobs pay more than minimum wage, and they're paid based on your skill set. So probably at the lowest end for a basic entry-level position, if we had any, is probably going to be somewhere around 16 or 17 an hour, but that's for our minimally skilled position. That we are a precise manufacturer, we're certainly looking for more technical skills on the manufacturing side, and that could be welding, it could be dealing with cutting metals, because we have most of our equipment is housed in stainless steel. So in this market, we need welders that have experience with stainless steel welding. We need individuals that have run, industrial cutting machines that cut metal. We need those that can assemble electronics, that can assemble mechanical pieces. And that's just in the manufacturing side. We have distribution, we have some warehousing roles as well. And then, of course, we have those that require degrees, engineers, scientists, management members, and things of that nature as well.
Okay, and looking at, what's the in-demand position at your company? Is there really a role that you need filled or you have a high demand for?
Yes, actually a couple. One, field service technicians across the U.S., number one. Also, on the manufacturing side, we are one of the highest numbers of jobs that we hire are electrical and mechanical assembly work. And that's putting together the high-tech products so that they can get together, go through the process, and ultimately get shipped out to the our customers. And it's not like it's not putting Legos together. It's not simple things like that. Our machines are pretty high-tech. They're electrical, mechanical, and software driven, all of them. So they have a lot of moving parts. They have a lot of technology. And so the assembly work is a little bit more than just, putting something together and snapping them together. So it requires people that have had some exposure or experience or interest in dealing with electrical work, mechanical work, things like that.
Okay, great to know. And, technology is a big thing. There's so many different new and innovative different types of technology that are coming out. Do you see anything in the pipeline for your company, some great innovations that are coming out, or what different equipment or technology might students be able to use at Mettler Toledo?
Well, I mean, I can't speak for the entire, I'm sure there's a ton. I mean, we're obviously an engineering and R&D, research and development type of organization, and we've been evolving over the 50 or 60 years we've been in business. But for this specific group, some of the other technologies that aren't quite clear in the presentation, we have, I'll just tell you what the 4 products that we manufacture here. We have a product that, if you can imagine that little picture you saw, if you can imagine a production or manufacturing facility with a conveyor system, and say, let's use a box of cereal flying down at high speeds. We have what's called a check weighing system, which weighs that product in motion in high speed. So that requires a lot of technology to be able to weigh something that comes across that might only be there for 1/10 of a second. We have X-ray detection equipment. That box of cereal is going to go through a machine at high speeds. It's X-raying, looking for certain things. We have metal detection systems doing the same thing. That product could whisk through a metal detector that's looking for metals in those, that box of cereal, for instance. And the last piece is a visual inspection system, which could be high-speed cameras, mirrors, or visual that are looking for certain things on that product. Is it maybe it's looking at the barcode, maybe it's looking at the seal. And again, that is all driven by technology, primarily high-speed computer systems, high-speed software, as well as the electrical and mechanical components that go across. So there's a lot of technology that's built into those products before they get out the door.
Okay, wonderful. And, I've seen, within a lot of manufacturing companies that I've either worked for or visited, that their employees stay for a very long time, sometimes, upwards of 30 years. Do you see that within your company as well?
Yeah, certainly we have, in particular in manufacturing, I think you do see more tenure in manufacturing. And there are many reasons for that. Typically, if you get into manufacturing, those companies are in certain markets and they stay in those markets, and there may not be, 50 other manufacturers in the market for that skill set. So you have the ability to stay in an organization longer, certainly. And part of that is also because as you get your employees in manufacturing, they gain more and more knowledge, they gain more and more compensation, and they get to see their work to fruition. So a lot of jobs, you don't necessarily touch the product and see the product. In manufacturing, you can see the product start from, a box of materials and see the end product go out. And a lot of people find great job satisfaction in the manufacturing field.
And for students that are just, graduating soon, they might be looking for employment soon. What advice would you give them to position themselves for a job in manufacturing or engineering? What are the steps or what are the things they should be doing now?
Well, and I think whether it's manufacturing or any career path, I mean, you really have 3 or 4 options when you're graduating high school. 1, go to college in some capacity, whether it's community college, 4-year college. 2, go through a technical training type of program, whether it's a technical school, a trade. You can join the military to gain skills. or you jump right into the job market based on things that you may have done, some experiences you've had, in some of your entry-level jobs if you've had them, and try to find organizations where they, if you work hard, have a good attitude, and they're willing to train you, you can get in from that direction. Or you can win the lottery and retire. But other than that, there's definitely some career paths and different choices you should be making. And hopefully, if many of you are on the phone now, if you're seniors, you're certainly, closer to having to make those decisions and probably are deep in those processes right now. But again, it's your personal preference. But the more skills that you develop, the more training that you gather, and it doesn't have to be a college. There are plenty of even community colleges and two-year schools that have programs that you can go through to get training on manufacturing skill sets, for instance. I think Pasco Hernando College has, there's some training there for industrial automation, and that's the industry that this location is part of, industrial automation. There's like a two-year certificate or something like that. That would position you well to come in at one of our entry-level jobs. We probably will not or do not hire right out of high school without some form of some training, some skill sets. We just don't have those roles in this location. Other manufacturers do. They have pipelines where they will bring in recent high school graduates, and they put them either through like an intern type program or through a career development or job development type program, apprenticeships. We are exploring those, but there are companies that are borrowing from the European heritage where apprenticeships are huge, but there are organizations that do that as well.
Okay, wonderful. Great advice. And how would a student or anyone keep in touch with Mettler Toledo? How can they keep in touch with, what's new going on with your company?
Certainly. With technology, obviously, that's fairly easy. If it's careers, you can log in and create a job alert that'll alert you for certain types of positions. You can follow the organization on various social media channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, those types of things. Many companies, I would say LinkedIn is probably the better place to follow them. That tends to be, where you get the most information, the freshest. But those are certainly things that are there. You can obviously visit the website at any time. I think you can sign up for news alerts through the website. You can sign up through news alerts through other technology venues as well.
Okay, wonderful. Well, if you have additional questions for Matt or for myself, please feel free. You can email us at admin@bama-fl.org, and we'll get those questions to Matt, and he can reach out to you with those answers. But I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. And Matt, I'd like to thank you for joining us to answer the students' questions and also for putting together the PowerPoint presentation with the overview of Mettler Toledo. We appreciate it, and we hope that everyone joins us for more of our student tours all month long as we go through a lot of the companies here in Tampa Bay and find out what they do behind the scenes. So Matt, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you as well for the invitation. It's been my pleasure. And if you have any questions specifically about Mettler Toledo, you can also email me directly. It's matt.leitner@mt.com. Pretty straightforward, or you can find me on LinkedIn.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Matt. Everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you again for joining us.